Okay, so sprints are finally back in the training program, in some form at least. I mean, I don't know if you would even class 70% effort sprints as sprinting, because I was only running it, I think it was like 6.6 meters per second, something like that. Can't quite remember, but I just remember it being pretty low to start with, and then I was slowly wanting to sort of build the percentages up each week. So the goal with the percentages was to just like notch it up, maybe like 5% each session, or just sort of see how I feel after each session and then go from there. Always just work off of like what you have in terms of data on pain scores going up in the subsequent days. Because I do really feel like, I think I mentioned it in the last video, that the sports hernia injury, it really feels like an overused tendon kind of injury. So that's sort of where I was at with sprinting and everything. It was nice to finally be doing a movement that is like familiar, that I've not done in like months. And yeah, just adding it back in, it added a little bit more spice to my training in a way. So that was good. And then same with like jumps. I was able to stop jumping, so I went to India for a little trip away for just 1 week, and then I was flying back. And there I was able to start like adding in jumps. I had like an extra day's rest after, I can't remember when it was. I was supposed to do like my sprints and jumps on the Thursday, but because I was like traveling on the Thursday, I would have had to get up at like 4 a.m. to do it, and I wouldn't be typically like overly like, oh, you know, like I wouldn't be like too opposed to doing that, I guess. But I thought, you know, because of where I'm at with injuries and with everything, it's probably just better to just be a little bit more relaxed with things. And I think as well, like going forward, it's probably wise for me to be like that regardless. Like it's better to do less than to do more, which they often say. And I feel like in that circumstance, it's like I'm going to get like a couple hours sleep and then try and train, and then I've got a flight, and that just never really works out. But surprisingly, did all the travelling. It was like a 10-hour flight, and then I felt great actually, like arriving in India. Like I didn't feel like I was sore anywhere, like even the hips were fine. After like all of that sitting down, I did actually manage to get a little bit of a sleep on the plane as well, which was nice. And then I got in at like 3 a.m. and really it was like 10:30, 9 o'clock or something. So that was good. Felt good after the travelling, and then I was able to do my sprints the next day after travelling with no real issues, which was also nice. Bumped the intensity up on the sprints, added jumps in, and the jumps, they felt really good. For the first time in like months and months, I didn't have knee pain after doing jumps. Like the day after, I felt good. Everything was going well at this point. No issues whatsoever. Then for even the next session where I did like jumps and sprints, bumped the intensities up even more. I think I did max effort box jumps from a standstill, and those felt great. I then did sprinting, and I pushed sprinting up a little bit too much. Like it's hard, I think, sometimes to try and achieve the intensities that you want to achieve, especially if you're aiming for like a percentage of sprints, because I was wanting to go for maybe like 80%, but I found that I overshot that by quite a bit. I think for that split, for like wearing flats for my estimated sort of speed, so I roughly estimated that I'd be in the 9.5 to 9.4 meter per second range for like a max effort 10 meter fly. I think that's like a solid estimate of where I would just be at naturally, having not sprinted for like months and months and months. So that's where I was roughly putting my speed at, and I think I kind of overshot the percentage for like a specific split, because obviously if I say like my peak would be 9.5, 9.4, that sort of range, then that would mean that my like 10 meter run in, 20 meter fly, or 15 meter run in, 10 meter fly would be however much slower. It would be like, I don't know, maybe a 8 point something, 8.9 would be the max I would be able to achieve for something like that. So I did overshoot the intensities a little bit, but it was alright because I didn't feel too bad the day after. Like I could feel it had flared it up a little bit because the sports hernia had been in this point, especially when I was on my trip in India, where it just wasn't really like an issue like at all. So that was like a big surprise. I didn't really expect it all of a sudden to just like heal up. Definitely like the strongest 2 weeks of training that I've had in like a long time. Just reintroducing the sprints has really seemed to help aid in the recovery process, and it is sort of, I think, the idea of just doing a movement, any movement, to help with recovery. Like I always think, if you can move, if you can do anything, you do what you can do. There's a lot of do's there, my bad. But yeah, so training obviously been going well. Also jumps, as I say, feeling good. The only thing is my training for like weights has just been so like monotonous and like boring, and it's not been like fun. But that's just what I've got to do to get to a level where I'm like healthy enough. And then sort of going forward, I do quite like the idea of trying to focus on doing more 2-foot jumping, just for like, I don't know, just to like dunk a basketball. It would be fun to do that. I've not dunked since 2023, so it's been a while, and I feel like I'm overdue some dunk attempts. So I like the idea of maybe doing that before transitioning fully into like off-season training. I don't necessarily have like a goal date in mind for indoors. If I even want to do indoors, like I can always say, look, if I'm not in a position, come indoors. Outdoors is more of a focus, so I have the luxury of being able to sort of choose, I guess, because I don't have any sort of goal competition, I guess, in mind. I do want to do indoors, but it'll just have to be, you know, if I'm ready by indoors, then I go for it. If not, I can kind of continue training in the lab and then just focus on outdoors, because outdoors is always more important. But that's just the short update. It's a much shorter video, so I hope you did enjoy, and hopefully my rambling wasn't too bad.